pay attention. We are so disconnected to the world and the things around us that sometimes it's just easy to be on the go. You wake up, eat your breakfast, go to work, come back, have to cook dinner, put the kids to bed, and it's just like a cycle that never stops. And eventually it just becomes like you're on a hamster's wheel and you're going, and you don't pay attention to yourself, the people around you, your emotions, your finances. You just don't pay attention. You're literally on a never-ending cycle. But we need to pay attention to the things around us. Otherwise, we become so numb and disconnected to the world at large that we're just always on the go. So I'm going to share 3 areas in your life where you need to pay attention. And the first is pay attention to your emotions. We've become so desensitized and disconnected to our emotions. It's actually quite concerning. We are always on the go, always numbing our feelings, our emotions with food, with sex, with drugs, with Netflix. Real life story. A couple of weeks ago, I journal quite a lot, and I think I'm quite a reflective person, and I know when I'm avoiding. Have you ever avoided stuff that you know you need to deal with, but you just don't want to deal with it? And I found myself, I was like, I need a burger. I was quite irritated the whole day. I was like, I need a burger, because a burger is going to make you feel better, right? So I was like to my husband, I just need a burger. I got my burger and I ate my burger, and it felt good for a minute. And I knew there was just stuff going on that I just wanted to ignore. And I was like, I'm going to watch some Netflix. I never watch Netflix. I'm not a Netflix kind of girl. And I was sitting there and I was like, Rodna, what are you doing? What are you doing? But how many of us just ignore the stuff that's going on in our minds, in our hearts, in our emotions, in our lives, and just pretend like it doesn't exist? Because surely if we pretend like it doesn't exist, right? Wrong. We comfort eat. We spend time watching movies to ignore or to drown out the stuff that's going on in here. But that doesn't help anybody, and it sure as hell doesn't help you. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to your emotions. Now, I'm not saying be ruled by your emotions, but actually pay attention to what's going on in you. Many times we're so accustomed to worrying about other people without actually focusing or worrying about ourselves and looking after ourselves. When was the last time you asked yourself, like, how are you? Rodna, how are you? Like, how are you really? How are you doing? And that's why I think journaling is such a big and important part of my life, because it forces me to realize and to slow down and to think what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my heart, what's going on with me, and just pausing, reflecting, thinking, prodding and poking and asking myself a question forces me to think, what is going on in my mind? What's going on in my head? And just being still and being uncomfortable with the stuff, with the disappointment, with the anger, with the resentment, with the feeling of you're not progressing, or feeling that you're not good enough, or feeling whatever those feelings are. They're your feelings, whatever those feelings are. But actually just recognizing that they're there, as opposed to just brushing them off and brushing them off and brushing them off. That doesn't help. You're not really sorting the thing out. What you're doing is sweeping everything under the rug until that rug is like a molehill of stuff that you've just swept under the rug. And now you have some serious stuff. Now the rug starts to smell because there's so much stuff and so much nonsense that's under the rug. It starts to smell. And then now you got mice, and you don't know how you got mice. It was because of the things that were swept under the rug that weren't dealt with. So pay attention to your emotions. How are you feeling? How are you? Just how are you? And we have this thing where many times you ask someone, oh, how are you? Fine, good. But are you? Are you really? And it just becomes a thing that it's just, oh yeah, I'm good. Even if you're not good, you would just say, I'm good. Even if you're not fine, you just say, I'm fine. Because we've been taught to just brush off, get on with it. Brush off your feelings and just get on with it. But actually, in order for you to thrive and be successful and to be prosperous, you need to understand what is going on with you. If your mind and your body and your soul are not in a good state, you're not going to be in a good state. So pay attention to what's going on in your mind. Pay attention to how you're feeling. And sometimes when I have coaching sessions, and just by someone how arrives, you can tell this person's not okay. And we'll fluff around, and I hate fluff. Fluff is like it's small talk, basically. So I always say to my coaching guys, like, Do you want to fluff first, or do you want to just get on with it? Because fluff to me is just like we're wasting time. We're just here, there and everywhere trying to not deal with the stuff. So sometimes I have coaching clients and I can tell when we're being fluffy. We're just talking about things. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I did this and then and we're going all the way here where really and truly there is something that you want to talk about, but just it's difficult to just get straight to it. So pay attention to your feelings. Yes, stop being fluffy and doing all of these things around here and actually just do it. And that can be journaling, that could be through coaching, that could be through therapy, that could be praying and asking God and just sitting still. Sometimes understanding what's going on. I have to read my Bible, and the more I read my Bible, I'm like, okay, what's going on inside of me? Or I'll sit still and just be like, God, I don't know what's going on. I can't articulate it. I can't put words to it. I know I feel something, but I'm not sure what I feel. What am I feeling? And then God will give me the language for how I'm feeling. Okay, I just feel off. So many times we say, I just feel off. I don't know. Something just doesn't feel right. Something just doesn't, there's just something, ugh. And the more I'll ask, what's going on? What's going on? And I don't have the language for it, but he gives me a name for it. Sometimes I'll not tell you this. I used to have this girl that I would coach, and she wasn't really taught emotions and what emotions were. So she would feel emotions, but not know what that emotion was. So you could feel the feeling of anger, but wasn't able to articulate that this is the feeling of sadness. I feel sad. There wasn't a name to feeling sad. And anytime we talk, we'd go through the week before. This happened. Okay, so what? Give it a name. What's the name for that? And I don't know. I think I felt angry. Okay, so that thing has a name. And so many times we have these feelings and we just can't articulate it, but these things have names. I felt sad. I felt happy. Even just, not even necessarily bad emotions, but good emotions also. Oh, I have this feeling inside of me. It feels good. What is it? It's happiness. You feel joy. You feel happy. Give it a name. But that comes with being aware of what's going on in your emotions and what's going on in your internal state. If it's off, find out why it's off. And this can be however way you want to do it. Prayer, journaling, both, a bit of everything. Do it. It isn't going to help you. A burger is not going to help you. Sex is not going to help you. Everything external that you're trying to run to stop from dealing with the things that are inside, they're not going to help you. And we can avoid it for so long, but it's not going to help you. Avoidance isn't going to help. You're going to have to deal with it at some point. You can deal with it when it's in its early stages, or you can deal with it when it's now become a smelly, rat-infested problem that you probably should have dealt with straight away. So pay attention to what you're going through. Pay attention to your emotions and your feelings. We take cars for service. You know, sometimes we look after cars better than we look after ourselves. You will look after your car. You'll wash it, you'll clean it, you'll take it for service, you'll take it for MOT. You'll make sure that your car is good. But we don't make sure that we're good. When was the last time you took care of yourself and really made sure that you're good? Asking yourself, are you okay? Rodna, are you okay? Are you really okay? What's going on with you? What's happening? How do you feel? How are you? What's going on in your mind and all of these things? Are you good? And sometimes you just have to sit in silence. Sit in silence and just be still and just see what rises to the surface. Sit still. No Netflix, no phone. And phone is one of the biggest distractions. No Netflix, no phone. Just sit still for a period of time and see what comes up. Sometimes with our feelings, we try and disconnect from like the bad stuff. We try and disconnect from the things that didn't go right, or something that we didn't do, or a disappointment or something. So we try and disconnect one part of ourselves with the other part. And then now you're like this disconnected person. And you want to hide your feelings and your failures, and you want to present yourself as this good person. But actually, are you showing up as yourself if you're trying to fragment yourself? Deal with the stuff. Deal with the disappointment, the hurt, the embarrassment, the shame, the whatever it is. and then show up better. And then the second thing that you need to pay attention to is pay attention to your environment. Pay attention to what's going on around you. And my husband is so good at this. He's so aware of his environment at all times. He can tell you what the person was driving, the number plate. He can tell you the weather, what time it rained. He can tell you who was there, what they look like, their hair color, their skin. He can tell you everything. And I'm just there, wait, what? What's happening? Pay attention to your environment, your external environment. And why I say this is because sometimes you grow and your environment is now too big for you or too small for you, or it's time for you to shift. And if you're not aware of your environment, then you can stay in a season or in an area or a time where actually it doesn't suit you anymore. Pay attention to the people that are around you. Not all people are your people. Not all people wish you best. Not all people wish good things for you. Not all people are your people, and that's okay. If you're so oblivious to what's happening around you and the people that are around you, you will make friends, people that aren't your friend. You will tell people things that aren't meant for all people. You know, you will spend your time and your effort in one area or one place when actually that's not the environment you need to be in. You need to be in this environment. So if you're aware of your environment and aware of the people in your environment, then it'll save you and me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. So pay attention to your environment, pay attention to who's around you, pay attention to how you feel in a particular environment. And this is what you mean by like discernment. You can go into a place and you just feel off, like you just feel like you need to get out of there. This isn't your place, this isn't your environment, and you feel something's not right. Something ain't right and you need to get out of there. Pay attention. Pay attention. When you go somewhere and you don't feel good or you don't have a good feeling about going somewhere, pay attention. And the two sure ways, the checks that I always give myself is, do I have joy? The first is, do I have peace? Whenever I go somewhere, do I have peace about going there? And if I don't, and if there's an alarm ringing in my spirit, ask yourself, why not? What's going on? I will never ever, I've been to, and I've, in my earlier years, I have gone to places where I knew that I shouldn't be there and I should have gone there, and I have been burnt for it. So pay attention to your environment, pay attention, are you supposed to be there? Is this the environment? Is this environment serving you? Are these people serving you? Are these people helping you grow and develop and mature? If not, are those really your people? Is that really your environment? So the first one is, do you have peace about it? And the second one is, that bringing you joy? Does that give you joy? There's a difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is external. You can get happy by doing something and then 10 minutes, the happiness is gone. But do you have internal joy? You can have joy irrespective of your external environment. So you can be in a terrible place, but actually still have joy within you. So happiness is external, joy is internal. Do you have joy? Do you have peace? If yes, maybe that's your environment. If not, check that environment. And that environment can be your workplace, it can be where you live, it can be your friends and your family. Pay attention, be very discerning, pay attention to your environment. Pay attention. It'll save you your life. It will save you so much if you pay attention to your environment. And then the last one, and probably one of the most important, I mean, they're all important, but the last one is pay attention to the seasons in your life. The same way we have winter, summer, autumn, and spring is the same way that you have seasons in your life. Not every season is the same season. Some seasons your spring, some seasons are your summer, some spring seasons are your winter. We're currently it's autumn, and if I dressed for summer in autumn, I'd be very sick and very miserable and very cold. If I dressed for winter in summer, I'd be very hot, irritated and bothered. In the same way, in our lives we have different seasons, and we need to know what seasons we're in order to act accordingly, to dress accordingly, to pray accordingly, to move accordingly. So what season are you in right now? What season is it? Is it the harvest season? Is it a season to be building? Is it a season to be reaping your rewards or your harvest? Is it a season to be praying? Is it a season to sowing seeds? What season are you in? And many times we just do the same thing in our lives every single day without really being sensitive and being aware to what is the season that I'm in and what do I need to do differently. And the more you pay attention, the more you're sensitive to when seasons are coming to an end and when new seasons are happening. You don't just have to, you don't just have to be like surprised. Oh, surprise, it's winter. There are signs. When it's getting into winter, there are signs. It gets darker a little later. It's a little bit colder. The weather changes. Times change. And that is an indication that we're going into a new season. The trees, the leaves start to look different. That is a new season. And similarly, when it gets to spring, the leaves start changing. It's green, it's bright. You hear the birds chirping. There are signs. So what are the signs that are in your life that shows that you're in a new season or you're in a particular season? Or the season is coming to an end? Because sometimes we're just so oblivious. We're just living life, just so oblivious, doing the same thing every day. But not every day requires the same thing. Different seasons require different things. Pay attention. Don't just be a robot. You're not a robot. You're not a robot who does the same thing every day, all day, and hoping for the best. You're not a robot. Pay attention to what's happening in your life. Pay attention to the things that are happening, the people that are around you, what's happening within you. Pay attention to the seasons and the times that you're in. Pay attention. And you're not gonna every season, okay? I don't necessarily love winter, but it's a necessary season and it's just part of life. Everyone has their seasons. And you might look at someone else and they're in their season of harvesting, and then you now start to compare. But you can identify someone else's season without identifying your own. Make that make sense, please. So don't compare your life with other people because you don't know what seasons and the times are in their life. It's their time, it's their season. It might not necessarily be yours, but focus on and run your own race and be very aware of the season and the time. We're currently in October and the seasons have changed. Not just on a physical level, but seasons have changed. And how you deal with those seasons is different to that particular season. So be aware, pay attention to what's around you, pay attention to the things around you, pay attention and write them down. I saw a video like 3 days ago and it's just been on my mind ever since. I saw a video of, it was me 12 years ago. And I was this single, young, carefree girl who was just traveling and living her best life and was so oblivious to a lot of things. But that was me 12 years ago. And that was my season then. And that was my time then. And there was also stuff that I was going through that I was like, damn, I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. But that was my season and that was my time. I never knew then I would be then married with kids and be doing all of these things. And that season would end. And I was thinking to myself, wow, look at 12 years ago me. Such a different space and such a different time. But that was that season then. And it just made me start to reflect over the last 10 years and how times and seasons change and things change and you become a different person. I had all the time in the world 12 years ago. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a house to look after or chores to do. My only job was to look after myself. That just make sure that I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm well. That was my only thing. That was my season. Now, fast forward 12 years, I've got a husband, a household, and kids. This is my season now. And in 10 years, my season might be completely different. In 5 years, my seasons can be completely different. And I'm so glad I was able to enjoy my season back then the way that I did. Because I'm like, girl, you enjoyed, you made the most of it. You traveled, you did all of these things. I'm glad you did. Because that was the season for it. And you know, when you see like these and it's usually old men who are like granddads, who are grandfathers, and they're out clubbing and doing all this. So you're 60 years old. The season for that has passed, okay? The season passed. But we're now trying to do things in the seasons where you're not supposed to be doing it. So pay attention to your season. And I was also reading my journals from years ago and just reflecting on the times and the seasons and the importance of writing things down and documenting your seasons and your times is really important. I was looking back and thinking, wow, this was my mindset back then, and this is the way that I thought back then, and this is the way that I did things back then. Different seasons have different times, and you learn things in different seasons and in different times. So pay attention, write things down, document it. Document what you were going through 10 years ago, document what you're going through now, and that will help you maybe in 10 years to come. And not only you, but it might help other people. That's why people write biographies and autobiographies and all of these things, because they've documented their lives and their journeys, and it hasn't only helped them, but it's helping a lot of people. A lot of the things that you may go through aren't just for you, but they're to help and empower and encourage other people. So yeah, be aware, pay attention. See you in my next video.